Hey, what's up, you guys? You're watching Team APS. Paul here.
Alec here, and this is our top 5 unexplored mechanics.
Yeah, unexplored in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the sense that, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens now, pendulum summoning and, stealing people's monsters with kaijus or whatever. But
That's a mechanic now? Okay.
I guess so. But there are a lot of old mechanics that really, they were kind of explored early on, and we just don't see them anymore.
Lost. They're, we dropped them, and
Yeah, maybe some of them never took off. So.
Yeah, some never got off the ground.
So, the first one is counters.
That's right. Not counter fairies.
Yeah, not counter fairies, just counters, A counters for aliens, for example.
Best example.
There's also Cloudians come to mind, Venoms, they have Venom counters.
And I guess you could say spell counters, even though they recently got mythical beasts.
Yeah, so it's something. Counters, early on, I think, made a lot of sense. It was cool.
In a slower Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you actually could afford to build up counters.
Mm-hmm. And they would always do, archetypes would do things where, opponents would lose attack for, every counter on their monster. Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Or your cards got certain effects depending on how many counters are on board.
Yeah, and then I always liked the idea of, maybe removing counters to activate effects.
That's what spell counters did very well.
Yeah, spell counters are more about that, because it was... Whereas with Cloudians and stuff... Well, Cloudians and Aliens did explore that a bit.
I just said not as well. They didn't do it as well.
So what are some of the problems, though, with counters?
And we're not just going to say that they're slow. That's too easy. It's a cop-out.
I think that the big problem isn't so much the speed, but it's actually keeping counters on monsters.
Monsters, they just go.
Yeah, a lot of times, these decks, summon Rescue Rabbit, and it's gone. You know what I mean? To get 2 dinos... And they're gone, because then you Xyz summon. You know what I mean?
And then back in the day, maybe it wasn't so bad since fusing, you still need to find a pilot or something. So it wasn't, your monsters weren't just going. Mm-hmm. And even with synchros, they need a tuner to get rid of that bad boy.
But nowadays, with things like Xyz and especially Lynx, where pretty much any 2 monsters can make something in your extra deck, it's it kind of sucks, because say I've been accumulating all these A counters, and then you just link away into Proxy Dragon. Oh. Boom. All my counters are gone. And that makes it really hard to keep counters on the field.
That's where...
I'd say that's really where the biggest problem comes in. I mean...
Because the whole idea of the deck is you're supposed to try to build up these counters to make these big plays later. And your deck is supposed to be... They build these decks a bit slower so that... it's this risk to reward deal.
Yeah.
But if all of your counters can just get wiped off the board, it's slow to get the counters, and your deck is slow to begin with, so you can't come back from that.
Yeah, and the whole idea of accumulating counters very gradually. There's that one A-cell breeding device, I think, for aliens, where it's once per turn, in your turn, you get to put 1 A counter on 1 monster, and that's not even the turn it gets activated, to continue a spell or whatever. So, you gotta really...
Remember Black Power Stone?
Oh, yeah, that was the trap, right?
The trap, and it was I think it had 3 counters on it, and then once per turn you could snatch one of those counters.
Yeah, conceptually cool for the time.
For the time.
I think, actually, the spell counter Citadel, Magical Citadel, I think it did a good job because...
Wasn't it a bank?
It was like a bank. I think that's actually one of the better ways that this could be improved, is it stores counters, and it can be used to trigger all the other counter-related stuff.
Now, why is it not played? Because that's all it did.
Yeah, it didn't have any other, actual plus search, recovery type effects.
These cards that will actually allow you to get counters, they need to be able to do something else.
Yeah. I like the idea of counters protecting monsters. So, if your monsters get counters, maybe
card
be
guard.
protected. Yeah, that was always cool. I like the idea of maybe counters being able to get on the board a little bit faster.
Yeah, something not relying on traps.
Not these slow, continuous spells and traps. We gotta have cards that are putting them on en masse.
The same way a monster gets summoned and searches something in the hand, we need a monster that's summoned and throws some counters on board.
Yeah.
And be more rewarding with counters.
Mm-hmm.
This card places a counter for every star it has.
Oh yeah, stuff like that.
So 4 counters out the gate, which would be huge for a lot of those little counter-based decks.
Yeah, and I think also maybe the counters, removing them should get you more pluses than just you can remove 10 counters to pop a card on the field. It should be remove 2 or make some quick effects
Yeah.
or some negation, right? Like things that are really strong.
But we gotta move on.
Yes. So what is the next thing?
Our next mechanic it's kind of broad, so it's gonna be crazy. Chance, and that's everything from dice to coins
To even rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I brought that up earlier.
We actually did
do
a
it
video
enough.
about this a couple weeks back. Just our top 10, I think, 5 or 10 chance-based cards.
Yeah.
We'll link it. But yeah, chance in Yu-Gi-Oh, for good reason, obviously, has been not popular. Because as a competitive player, you're looking for consistency.
Yeah.
And this is the definition of inconsistency.
And before MST was regularly available, you think cards like I forgot the name. That one chance spell removal card.
Like Dice Foon?
Thank you.
Dice Foon, yeah, there was a
Dice
card.
Foon. It had a time.
That's in Duel Links, isn't it?
It is. It had a time in Duel Links.
We've had good chance cards. We've had Sixth Sense, kind of the busted example.
Good. Okay.
We've had like Blind Obliteration, a card that actually saw a little bit of meta play like last year and stuff.
Cup of Aces in Degenerate decks.
Yeah, there are. So there's a little bit there, but generally speaking, they'll always make the risk to reward unfairly skewed.
It's not even. I think the one time we had a chance card who had a good risk reward was like Snipe Hunter.
Yeah, like Snipe Hunter. I think even so far back as Time Wizard, this was a broken thing where when it got heads, sure you pop your opponent's field. When you got tails, you pop your field, and you lost life points. It's like they love to make the drawbacks just a little worse. And Cup of Ace, it's a +1 if you get heads. It's a -3 if you get tails. Like, come on, can we make these cards any better? I don't know. How do you think? Do you think an archetype could work around that, or?
Well, we have to obligatory mention Bandit Keith's archetype coming
In the
out.
Barrel Dragons?
Yes.
That's something that you're in.
Yeah, they allow you to kind of rig the system so it's less chance based.
I still like something that we were talking about a little earlier is rock paper scissors. Actually, I think it's chance, but it's like
a little bit of strategy.
There's a little bit of a mind game. So if there was like an archetype that maybe did that consistently, then eventually you kind of get a read on your opponent.
There was a guy on there was a video of a guy who said he never lost rock paper scissors. He said he could always get into his opponent's head and he always knew what they're gonna throw before they could. I mean, that'd be kind of a crazy thing to introduce into Yu-Gi-Oh! But I wouldn't mind seeing that. We already do it.
I really would not.
Like when you go first, you either play rock paper scissors or you throw dice. I know because it's not, and hey, it's not completely chance based. Because if it was, people wouldn't mind doing it to go first. But instead, they rather dice.
That's true. So I do think there could be some potential to be had there. It may be hard to translate into an archetype, but maybe just some staples. The next underexplored mechanic, in my opinion, is mill. Which I'm not talking about light sword mill. I'm not talking about milling your own deck. I'm not talking about that grass looks greener. I'm talking actually about milling your opponent's deck. Something that has not been done in many archetypes. Yeah. Iron Chains?
Ghost Trick.
And that's like it.
Vampires. They didn't do it well, but they did do it.
So there's the bleed.
Yeah.
So I think mill could be cool. It's a win condition if your opponent doesn't have cards.
And with the way everybody searches out their decks so fast and they draw so much, they're doing half the work for you.
Yeah, now I think people probably don't like the idea of mill being super prominent. It's annoying.
That is so dangerous.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
It's hard to balance because you don't want these cards because I always hated Necroface, for example. It gets banished and it mills 5 off the top. It's that's a lot to get banished. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
What if you play 2 Pot of Desires and your opponent still has Necroface?
That's a problem. See, here's something too, is mill decks, they're kind of helping your opponent. If they're sending stuff to the grave, most decks want some card of theirs in the grave to speed up a strategy along.
Thank God you played Deefisher earlier.
So I don't know. I think it could be fun. Maybe not healthy.
It'll be fun for somebody.
But maybe it'd be fun. It's a thing.
Arguably crazier than a mill deck is an exchange deck.
Yeah. Now, by exchange, what are we talking about?
Well, you guys remember, the card exchange where you and your opponent each take a card from each other's hands.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about basically any card that will, a mechanic where you're taking one of your opponent's cards and adding it to your hand.
Yeah.
Or maybe more of your opponent's cards.
See, the second card we thought of for this was Lullaby of Obedience. A card that...
That's the one with the old man doing the thing, right?
Yeah, Kaiba used it against Yugi in the Battle City Finals, the semifinals, where you pay 2,000 life points, you call a card, if your opponent has it in their deck, you get to check. You add it to your hand or special summon it to your side of the field. I think more cards like that would be kind of neat, though a bit of a ruling nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we've already seen like Parasite, and why that can't really exist.
What if you and your opponent both have the same I guess different color sleeves or more probably the same color sleeves?
Then they're just stealing. I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems fun. I don't know that there's really like a archetype that could do this.
Man, you would always know where the card is in their hand.
Yeah, so like I guess it kind of...
You can't pick randomly like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a bit of a problem. Maybe that's just the scrub in me. Like,
if you have your opponent's card in your hand and it gets discarded to grave, it goes to their grave, right?
Presumably. I mean, well, it should go to your grave always. Like if it's your card, it goes to your grave.
Okay, even if it's what if it was in their deck?
There's a reason no one plays Parasite. I'm sure judges hate when like the little kid enters a tournament and plays that.
I play 3.
So I mean, I don't know. I think that it's something cool. It's not really. I don't really believe it could happen, but it's underexplored.
If nothing else, cards like that can make the metagame kind of crazy, especially Lullaby in mirror matches.
Yeah,
if you know what's in your opponent's deck, and if it also will help you, then
getting into your hand is kind of neat. It's not even an egg for a change.
Think about something like a mirror between what were they called? Constellar or
Satellar Knights?
Satellar Knights.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Imagine that.
I was talking like Cosmos. Like, just getting their Dark Destroyer straight to your hand.
Now you have 2.
Now you have 2. And you could even like choose to never summon it and just kind of keep it away from them.
You don't get one, only I do.
I don't know, that'd be cool. And finally, there is the auto win cards.
We're not talking about Victory Dragon.
Yeah, we're talking about just the generic, like you win the game, not the match. We have a few examples, right?
Yeah, like Venom.
The Queen, Venomenaga.
There we go.
Venomenaga.
That's it.
And
gimmick puppet Leo, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. And there are a few others.
Yeah.
Those cards that like when this accumulates X amount of hyper venom counters
or whatever the thing it has to do.
String counters, then you win the duel. They tend to overbalance them for good reason.
Because like the Venom card, she has to like swing on
just to do battle damage
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times, and then each time she gets a hyper venom counter, and then eventually you'll win. The gimmick puppet is kind of similar.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Leo says that he has to stay on the field
and acquire when you don't have spells or traps, you can detach to get a counter on him, and then you don't get to do your battle phase either.
Oh, he's a detach get the counter?
Yeah.
That's hilarious because he needs 3 counters and he requires
I think 3 material.
3
Ooh, that's
level
a big
8s.
commitment.
But the problem is, usually you would rank up into a monster like that. So you wouldn't necessarily have 3 material.
Well, you may.
I mean, you could.
I mean, I guess the real thing is just that, like, you can't have spells and traps.
Nope.
You don't get a battle phase.
Nope.
And your opponent has 3 turns to just kind of sit here and...
he doesn't defend himself.
Yeah, and just beat you.
I think he's like... Is he even over 3,000 attack?
I mean, he's pretty big. He's 32.
Oh, okay. At least he's big.
But, like, all things considered, how much do attack points really mean these days?
But hey, you summon him with 3 material and you have 5 hand traps in hand. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Maybe your opponent can... Yeah, I mean, maybe they can't stop you. I don't know. I think we should see more of those cards. Like, in a slightly closer to playable fashion.
Yeah, and no final countdown nonsense.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, that's no fun. I mean, I like the cards that don't just bring the game to a halt, but rather put your opponent on a pressure clock instead. I don't know. It seems more fun.
Yeah, in the future, maybe we can see more decks dedicated to alternate win conditions. Because that could make a more interesting Yu-Gi-Oh, I think.
Yeah.
Where instead of I'm just trying to beat you down and out advantage you for the win, it's I have this thing I have to complete, and you have this thing you have to complete. They're both different, so we want to try and stop each other while still trying to complete it ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds like hella more fun than the shit we play right now. So, no, but you know, it would be cool.
We should do a duel like that.
Yeah, actually, oh yeah,
We should do a duel like that. That would be fun.
enough likes and we'll do it. A duel where we both have like, it has to be like
What else?
Vanamanaga versus like
I know.
gimmick puppet of.
Oh, wait. He's a little hard to summon.
Oh, yeah. Those are 5 mechanics we don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Explores enough.
Can you guys think of any other mechanics we may have missed?
Yeah, I'm sure there are a few. Leave them in the comments. We'd love to know. We'll read, respond.
If you liked the video, give us that thumbs up.
Subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Hit the notification bell.
Join the squad.
And that's going to be it. So we will see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.